Week one has come and gone in the high school football season. This is the Under the Lights postgame show. It's Friday night. I'm out here at Briarwood, our first game of the week of the year. Oak Mountain paying a visit to Briarwood. The Eagles of Oak Mountain win 14-3 to start the year off with a victory. Look, head coach Shane McComb is excited. The Eagles are 1-0, but he saw a lot to clean up, as did Briarwood coach Matthew Forster. Both coaches postgame saw some good things, ready to improve upon all of those things as they get ready for week two. This is a cool little rivalry game. The schools are 5 minutes apart from each other. Started out kind of slow. Briarwood gets the ball, kind of marches down the field, but they get in the red zone. It gets a little bogged down, and they have to settle for a 20-yard field goal from Evan Ball. They go up 3-0, and then just before halftime, Briarwood still holding on to that 3-0 lead, but gets pinned deep in its own territory, fumbles a snap, and Clay Mills is there to capitalize. His 2-yard fumble recovery, dive into the end zone, gives the Eagles a 7-3 lead. They take that into the half, and then in the third quarter, man, Briarwood was on the verge of getting a stop, but a third down penalty extends Oak Mountain's drive, and running back Marty Myrick's took it from there. Briarwood had contained him most of the game up until that penalty just really turned the tide of Briarwood defense versus Oak Mountain offense, because Marty Myrick's finally started getting to that edge. They wore down that Briarwood defense. Marty Myrick's ends up capitalizing on that drive with a 26-yard touchdown run to make it 14-3, and he helped Oak Mountain control the game going into the fourth quarter, as well as the Eagles were able to run out the clock. So that's our first game of the week. We're going to have a lot more to talk about, a lot of games in the Under the Lights coverage area. Let's get to it.
The Under the Lights postgame show rolls on. Tonight's show brought to you by our friends at KEYSYS AI Solutions, tailored for your small business. Let's get into it. All right, we got Chandler Fullman on the show. Chandler was out at the Hoover Met tonight. IMG Academy makes a visit. Hoover gets a national TV game, but IMG wins it 34-13. Chandler, I guess this is about what you expected in the final score. But what did you see from the Bucks in game one? Some positives from it.
Yeah, obviously, it was a great crowd. It's probably the best Hoover crowd I've seen in probably 10 years tonight. So really good turnout for the game. But football-wise, Jonah Winston, and that's not a shocker to anybody. But Jonah made some really good plays. Another receiver, Jeremiah Tabb, he went up and got one ball that was just like a 2 or 3 yard gain, but it was an impressive catch. And then the second catch he made was a 30-yard touchdown pass where, he legitimately pulled a Randy Moss on a guy. Went up over the corner and got the ball for a touchdown. Those two were really impressive. The defense, I know that you look at the scoreboard, they gave up 34 points, but I've got a stat thing that I can pull up, but they were legitimately on the field, probably for the game's 48 minutes. They were probably on the field 32, 33, 34 minutes.
Wow.
But really the story of the game was in the first half. It was, Hoover scored the first touchdown, so got up 7-0. No, IMG scored the first touchdown, but missed the extra point, got up 6-0. And then Hoover drove right back down the field and punched them right back in the throat, made it 7-6 because they made their extra point, or we made our extra point. And then they scored another touchdown, making it 13-7. And then right after the kickoff, the first play from scrimmage, once we got the ball, Caleb Freeman just made a bad mistake and threw a pick six. And that completely changed the momentum of the entire game, made it 20-7. And then after that, we came down and we had a 25-yard field goal that we missed. So if you take away the pick six and we make a 25-yard field goal, it's 13-10 at half. Second half, they just wore us down.
Yeah.
I mean, and I want to give a shout out to number 2 for IMG, running back Lakai Tompkins. He had 16 carries for 99 yards, 2 touchdowns. And if I'm being honest, it could have been way worse. And I'm not the only guy. I'm not the only one that saw it. When in the post-game interview with Coach English, one of the other reporters said, Lakai, number 2, he reminds me a little of Derrick Henry. And I mean, I saw it the whole game. The guy is, I would say he's probably 6'2", probably 230, 240. I mean, huge guy, but he is agile as all get out. I Lakai Tompkins, that's a name to watch out for. And he's a senior, so next year or 2 years, he's going to be playing major college football.
Nice. So obviously, I think the Hoover defense will be one of the standout units in the state as they kind of get back into playing some of the teams in the region and all that. But Caleb Freeman's first start at quarterback for the Bucks transferred him from Pleasant Grove. So everybody's first look at him in a Hoover uniform. What'd you see?
It was, I didn't see much, if I'm honest, but a lot of it has to do with the opponent.
Sure, absolutely.
I mean, I'm not going to knock Caleb at all because the defensive line for IMG and I mean the offensive line, I mean, there's no way to know like how good or how bad Hoover's offensive line truly is because I mean their D line, there wasn't a single guy under 310 pounds.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a one under probably 6'3", 6'4". I mean, they were huge. So, I mean, yeah, they were in the backfield all night long. But, I mean, like I said, you can't judge Hoover's O-line off this one game. Next week versus Spain Park could be a completely different story. But, so, no, didn't see much from Caleb, but there's not any way to judge this game or put it in any type of perspective other than those guys are just beast.
Sure. Well, we will find out a lot more about the Hoover Bucks next week. Chandler, I assume I'll see you out at Jaguar Stadium.
Wow. Kyle Parmley will be joining me at Jaguar Stadium. What an honor. Look forward to it, Kyle.
All right. Well, that's our Hoover Football Report brought to you by our friends at South Lake Orthopedics. Chandler, thanks, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Yes, sir. Go Bucks.
Under the Lights post-game report rolls on. Let's talk about some of the other games that we were keeping tabs on. Obviously, I was out at the Oak Mountain Briarwood game, but we had 8 other games that we were kind of keeping tabs on throughout the night. So we want to run down some of the scores. Chelsea gets the first win of the year, 51-27 over Charles Henderson. Game kind of got close, and then Chelsea pulled back away. Spain Park rolls past Sparkman, 48-21, a good 7-8 win for the Jags to start the year off. Mountain Brook takes care of Demopolis, 44-7. Vestavia Hills beats West Side out of South Carolina, 49-7. Good start to the year for the Rebels. Homewood wins the Battle of Lakeshore, 51-7. Hewitt Trustful shuts out Jag, 54-0. Clay Chalkville, really, really impressive in their first game of the year, winning 42-15. And then Hoover goes down to IMG 34-13. IMG is just loaded. It was on national TV. This is just kind of what you get. I would imagine the Bucks take a lot from this game. Right now, let's bring on our friend Max Donaldson of the Gadsden Times. Obviously, he wasn't at any of the Under the Lights games, but let's talk to him for a few minutes and see what we got. All right, Max Donaldson from the Gadsden Times on his way back from wherever he was out in the depths of Northeast Alabama this evening. Max, thanks for joining for a few minutes. What game were you at?
I was at Piedmont, Cherokee County. It was probably one of the top games in Northeast Alabama. 2 teams that made deep runs last year. Piedmont to the semifinals. Cherokee County ultimately lost in the state 4A finals, but really good game. Piedmont came out on top thanks to the play of Jacksonville State commit Molly Pinto. and then a really good run game where they racked up almost 200 yards.
Awesome. Well, I don't know about your game, but I think in the second half of the game I was at, we probably had 20 stoppages for cramps. I don't know. Did your game take forever like mine because of that?
I mean, I saw one like people bring two packets of mustard to some guy, so they were trying with everything. But no, I didn't really see like there was really a lot of stoppages. We were done. I was walking off the field by like 9:43, and that was with interviews and all that.
Nice. Yeah, so I know we had a lot of national attention tonight with the Hoover Bucks playing IMG. IMG wins 34-13, but Hoover had some moments you'll be seeing. If you haven't seen it on social media already, Jeremiah Tabb made an unbelievable touchdown catch. I think he mossed a guy. It was pretty cool to see. But yeah, do you get do you get all the kinks worked out on this first Friday night? It always seems like it's a little more chaotic than the rest of them.
Yeah, I still like. I don't know. I got I take my own stats, and it's like I just gotta get back in the flow of it. And I did it last night too at a game, but it just takes a few times of doing it. And it's like everyone knows, like, no, I know how to affect it, and I just got to get back to being at that level.
Yeah, absolutely. Know what like. I'm out there, and as kickoff's coming, I'm always thinking like, I hope I remember how to do this. First game of the year, you hadn't done it in 8 months or however long it's been, and then of course by like 2 plays into the game, you're like, oh yeah, I remember how to do this. Super fun to be back on the sidelines. But yeah, any other interesting results from your neck of the woods?
I'll say yesterday, Albertville, who has went 0-10 the last 2 years. Obviously, I think the last one might have been with Chip English, the now Hoover guy.
Mm-hmm.
But fell again, but just it seems like there was some improvement from years past. 18-14 to a really good team from Arab. But yeah, nothing really overly shocking. Kind of everything kind of went the way I thought, outside of me picking this Piedmont Cherokee County game wrong. But I think that was more of a toss-up. I just landed on the wrong side of.
Do you catch grief when you make a prediction and have to go face the people that night?
Sometimes. It's always funny because like sometimes I pick against teams like repetitively, and not just I may pick against them twice, and they win both those games, and they give me grief, and I'm like, well, clearly, do you want me to pick you? Because clearly, when I pick against you, it works. Like Southside last year, I picked them like in 6 games, and if I picked them to win, they lost, and if I picked them to lose, they won. And anytime I picked them to lose, it would give me grief. And I'm like, well, if I picked you to win, you lose. And I'm sure it wasn't just a coincidence. I'm sure there's actual things if I just didn't pick the right teams to win those games. But it was just one of those things. It's like, do you really want me to pick you all to win?
Exactly. No, it's the reason that I've always steered clear from official predictions. I'm glad to tell you outside of public record what I think, but I don't want to do it on the record, But yeah, anyways. All right, Max. Well, safe travels getting back home. Thanks for jumping on. Follow Max for everything in that Gadsden area. _Max_Donaldson. Max, we'll see you down the road, I'm sure. Let's dive into a few of the other scores, other games that we saw on Friday night. Let's start with Mountain Brook. I mean, a really dominant 44-7 win. They were up 30-0 at the half. Sam Smith, senior wide receiver, catches 3 first-half touchdown passes from Caden Hoffbauer. That's 3 touchdown passes, and Caden only completed 7 passes. So really impressive. Caden also threw another touchdown pass to Gabe Smith in the third quarter. Stuart Andrews, we've talked about him all preseason. 108 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns on 12 carries. Mountain Brook, 350 yards of offense. Just a dominant night for them. So Mountain Brook will get ready to play Parker next week. We will preview that in a few days as we get ready for that. You want to look at Hewitt-Trussville, just a dominant season opening win. Not that you were super surprised by that, but this is the first start for Zach Benedict. His senior year is his turn to shine for the Huskies. So let's see what he did here. He opened the night with a 69-yard touchdown pass to Dylan Cope, threw a 3-yard touchdown to C.J. Davis, and then Deuce Austin with a 1-yard run to make it 20-0 right off the bat. C.J. Davis scored on a run himself. Jack Floyd got some reps in the second half, and Hewitt Truss with 446 total yards. Looks like Zach Benedict 8 of 8, 159. Jack Floyd 7 of 9, 71 yards. So just a really dominant performance. Hewitt Trussell's defense held Jag to 209 total yards and 0 completions through the air. Parker Floyd 7 tackles, including 3 for loss. So a dominant showing. Hewitt Trussell will head to Gadsden City next week. Let's keep on rolling. We talk about the Battle of Lakeshore, all Homewood in this one, 51-7. The Patriots, I mean, these schools are just 3 miles apart. If you were at Waldrop Stadium, on the other side of the trees is literally Pat Sullivan Field and the John Carroll campus. So these two teams really familiar with each other, but Homewood is they're determined not to let 2023 happen again. And Caleb Carson accounted for 5 total touchdowns. This is his first year as the full-time starting quarterback. Head coach Ben Bergeson really high on him, and for good reason. So, I mean, if you look, just kind of looking through the story, Judson Eanes kicked a field goal to make it 10-0, and Homewood was just off to the races. So, Reed Goldstein, 60-yard touchdown run. Jack Myers had some good moments as well. Homewood's an excellent football team. That's a quote from Will Mara, John Carroll head coach. So, John Carroll looked to get it going, but big things to come for this Homewood team. I'm pretty high on them as we get going this year. And so I want to tell you about a couple of our friends, especially talking about the Battle of Lakeshore. The Edge, sponsoring our Homewood football coverage all season long. They're a great partner with us. Also, Barlow Wealth Advisory Group, the John Carroll coverage is going to be spearheaded by them this year, and we're super excited about them joining us. So let's talk about the Clay Chalkville Hueytown game with our friend Jeff Allison. All right, Jeff Allison, the guy that runs the Alabama 6A and Alabama 7A football accounts that you all know so well. Jeff, you kind of got the full experience with the Clay Chalkville Cougars tonight. They roll past Hueytown 42-15. You're pretty impressed with what you saw from the Cougars?
Yeah, definitely. The one thing that I think that gets left out a lot is the Clay Chalkville defense every year. Between their front seven, they really get after the quarterback, really shut down the run game. They did a great job on not letting Hueytown establish anything on offense tonight. And their linebacking crew is just unbelievable. But the defense was lights out. But, the offense with Aaron Fry to Corey Barber, 2 long touchdown passes. He also had about a 35-yard punt return for a touchdown. And he's good.
He's good. Yeah, we definitely saw Corey Barber really break out last year at Spain Park, but he transfers back to Clay Chalkville, gives that offense a really dynamic weapon, and they wasted no time getting that going. So I'm guessing Fry to Barber is something we're going to be hearing a little bit this year.
Yeah, I think so. And too, he's not the only one in that core of receivers. They got a couple others that can really go after it. So, I mean, they're Aaron Fry does a really good job of buying some time with his quickness in the pocket. And, he can run, but he likes to just buy that time to look downfield. And tonight he did a great job of that.
Early returns, obviously, there's still a long way to go, but is this, I kind of got the sense talking to head coach Stuart Floyd over the summer and kind of seeing some things, throughout the preseason and just kind of breaking down their roster. But this team seems like one that is not only, extra determined after last year and losing in the second round of the playoffs to kind of reclaim that state championship caliber status, but, they seem to really have the pieces. I mean, we talk about Aaron Fry at quarterback. This is his second full year. He's gone through it once, and he kind of really has a good feel for everything now. Does this Clay Chalkville team look like one that we might be talking about deep into the playoffs?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I have them as my preseason number 1, and they didn't really change my thinking in going into this game and leaving today. I just think that the more confidence, the offensive line, To me, I asked Coach Floyd about that, is just really how does the offensive line early in the season gel? And he said they're behind everybody else. And so I think once they get caught up, get some games under their belt, I think the run game will improve and there'll be more balanced attack. But man, they've got weapons, and like I said, the defense is just stifling. I mean, they just get after whoever has that ball, they just go after it and they do a really good job. And like I said, tonight, Hueytown had nothing on offense that they could do anything for that.
Yeah, it just seems like this Clay Chalkville team has a really big season in store. What about Hueytown? They're consistently a second, third round playoff caliber team. Is this a game that is just going to help spearhead them into the rest of the season, or do they got some growing to do?
Well, I think, they know that, they were at a tough spot today. And, when they only have 2 weeks, a new quarterback that came from over from Parker. And so they've only had a couple weeks with him to really gel and get going. So, I mean, I think in their region, they're going to be fine in that region. I think it's going to come down to them and McAdory, but I think region play, it's going to give them they got I can't remember who they have next week, but they got I think another tough game next week. But I think Hueytown, their defensive front, I'm telling you, I don't know where they get these linemen, but Hueytown gets the linemen and they put pressure on and did a good job, like I said, forcing Fry out of the pocket. Their run game, they shut the game down pretty much. And so defensively, Hueytown is there. It's just they got to get the offense going, and I think they will by the time region play comes around.
All right, good stuff. Well, Clay Chalkville dominant in week 1. So, Jeff, glad you were out there to catch it, and we appreciate you joining us for a few minutes.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it.
All right, let's go through a couple more results before we sign it off for this Friday night. Spain Park, we mentioned their 48-21 win over Sparkman. How about this? So, Spain Park, let me put this pulled up. 631 yards of offense. We've been talking about, we weren't 100% sure what around Brock Bradley was going to be able to, present itself. But Brock Bradley, 16 of 24 passing tonight, 333 yards, 4 touchdowns. Nick McKissick at running back, 19 carries, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns. J.D. Thompson, 76 rushing yards. Hudson Hibbert had 66 rushing yards. And then on the receiving side, Mason McClure, 4 grabs, 2 of them went for touchdowns, 121 yards. And J.D. Thompson also had 104 receiving yards as well. So, wow. This Sparkman team hadn't made the playoffs in a few years, but they are an average 7A opponent. Spain Park's a 6A team with big goals, big aspirations. So that's a great start to the year for them. And then finally, let's take a look at how the Chelsea-Charles Henderson game. Chelsea got up huge. They were up 23-0 in the first quarter, but Charles Henderson kind of chipped away. Chelsea was breaking in. They're breaking in some new guys, trying to figure out who their quarterback is going to be. All 3 guys that we talked about over the summer, Logan Strunk, Grant Probst, and Hudson Picklesheimer, all got in the game tonight. Looks like Logan Strunk threw for 90 yards, and the other 2 guys got some attempts as well. The two-headed monster, you're going to hear about this year. Chase Malone had a huge year last year, and he had a good night tonight, 97 yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground. But Morgan Barnes, alongside him in the backfield, is going to be a difference maker for this Chelsea team. He had 10 carries, 92 yards, and a couple of touchdowns as well. So that's going to be a big key for this Chelsea offense to really get rolling, to have Morgan Barnes back there so that Chase doesn't have to carry the ball 30 times a game like he did at times last year. So I want to tell you about our one more partner, Mountain Brook football coverage this year, brought to you by Gun Dermatology. We talked a little bit about the Spartans' 44-7 win earlier in the show. Spartans off to a great start. That Demopolis team has gotten to the playoffs in 4A or 5A 29 years in a row. So an impressive start from Mountain Brook as well. But I think that's going to do it for the first week of Postgame Reaction, the Under the Lights Postgame Show. We will be back in the middle of next week to break down week 2. If you pay attention to some of the bigger programs in our area that hail from the same city, might give you a little inclination of where the game of the week might be. So, Under the Lights post-game show presented by KEYSYS is in the books. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you later next week.